President Bola Tinubu's Democracy Day speech, with many focusing on the aspect of the economy and the uncertainty surrounding a new minimum wage. A constitutional lawyer, Richard Wokoja, criticized the president's broadcast, saying he expected the president's speech to highlight government efforts to alleviate citizen suffering. Professor Wokoja, a lecturer at the Department of Public Law, Rivers State University, spoke in an interview with correspondent Onyeka. He said it is not enough to encourage citizens to endure hardships caused by government policies without outlining actions to alleviate them.
There is no point beating around.
The government needs to dwell more on how to address the pains of the people. The government has acknowledged the fact that reforms and policies of the government are producing pain and encourage citizens to bear them for the good of the future of citizens and of the country. I think there are things government can do to make some of those things bearable. And those are some of the things I also expected to hear today. Sacrifices being made by the public officers, by government, in line with government's persuasion of citizens to make sacrifices that it is for their own good and for the good of the nation. I didn't hear that.
Professor Wokocha also said he wanted to hear about the administration's plans to address rising inflation.
That mitigative measure is what I expect to see from the government. Yes, government policies are creating hardship, but the people need protection from those who are exploiting the hardships offered by those government policies to make life miserable for people. I think that is what government needs to make effort. At the moment, citizens are left the mercy or whatever they see. Hardship from government, hardship from those who migrate profit being reasonable. Price rising, we are told prices are rising in control. The economy not respond when they are coming down.
Also, senior advocate of Nigeria, Ebun Olu Aderuwa, described the president's speech as mere recounting of history without addressing current issues. Speaking on Channels Television, Mr. Aderuwa said the speech failed to have the pressing challenge for Nigeria's democracy. It more is expected Tinubu was at the forefront of the democratic struggle and now at the helm of affairs. This morning, President Bola Tinubu in his speech to Nigeria's 25th anniversary of unbroken democracy said his government will soon send an executive bill to the National Assembly to enshrine what has been agreed upon as the new minimum wage. He also said the reforms his administration has initiated are intended to create a stronger, better foundation for Nigeria's future growth.
We have negotiated in good faith and with open arms with organized labor on a new national minimum wage. We shall soon send an executive bill to the National Assembly to enshrine what has been agreed upon as part of our law for the next 5 years or less.
President Tinubu also charged Nigerians to continue to defend this democracy and nurture it, while applauding the country's heroes who helped to birth the democracy Nigeria now enjoys.
No matter how complicated democracy may be, it is the best form of governance in the long run. We must also be aware that there are those among us who will try to exploit current challenges to undermine, if not destroy, this democracy for which so much has already been given. This is the great battle of our day and the major reason we specially celebrate this day.
Still on this, the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto Diocese, Matthew Kuka, says Nigeria's democracy is declining because it was not founded on the country's historical, cultural, or sociological experiences. The clergy spoke at a Platform Nigeria program in Lagos State to mark the Democracy Day. He said because of Nigerians' obsession with politics, they cannot think beyond a particular period. Bishop Kuka also said Nigerians do not want to hear about what will happen in 2040, but all their attention are fixed on the politics of 2027. In the same vein, a youth advocate, Benga Adeshunloro, says the participation of youths in Nigeria's democratic processes can only be increased when the government creates an enabling environment for them. The statement comes in response to questions and measures that can be taken to increase the political participation of youth in the country. In an interview with our correspondent, Mr. Adeshunloro In an interview with our correspondent, Mr. Adeshunloro, the project coordinator, Youth Electoral Reform Consortium for Southwest Yaga Africa, urged youths to go beyond waiting for the government to champion movements that will demand accountability from the government.
More young people will show interest, and if we want young people to participate in the democratic process, we have to also create that enabling environment for young people to participate. The fact is that we're not going to wait for government to create that enabling environment. Now, young people will need to start forming ourselves as consortium movements. So as long as we fold our arms and we keep going to the mountains and rivers to pray, 21 days fasting and prayer, and expecting a miracle, and we don't take action, we don't demand for good governance, nothing will change.
Mr. Adeshunloro said some youths are not demanding accountability from the government because some of them have turned to illegitimate means for survival.
One of the reasons why it's also difficult for young people to also demand is that how many young people do the legitimate things. A lot of young people, ladies and guys, are into a lot of illegitimate activities. So when they already have other ways to illegitimacy, they don't care. But I pray we'll have leaders who can be selfless, and we'll have young people who can take the bull by the horn and demand good governance.
Meanwhile, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara says he will continue to defend the interests of Rivers people and ensure their comfort. Governor Fubara said this in his message as Nigeria marks Democracy Day. He restated his commitment to unity, prosperity, and the principles of democratic governance. The governor also said it is only proper to continue to appreciate past heroes and those who fought for a democratic regime. He also urged Nigerians to celebrate the enduring spirit of our democracy and the progress made under President Bola Tinubu. In the meantime, Tinu Abiola, the wife of late Moshood Abiola, has urged the National Assembly to enact a law that will prohibit military intervention in Nigerian politics. Mrs. Abiola made the call while fielding questions from newsmen today in Abuja in commemoration of the Democracy Day. She, however, commended the military hierarchy for subjecting itself to democratic rule over the years. We'll go for a quick break, but still to come. Lawyer says order made by court without jurisdiction is invalid. Do stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned. Welcome back now to the rest of the news. A human rights lawyer, Onyeka, says any order made by courts without a proper jurisdiction is invalid. Mr. Onyeka, the National Legal Advisor of Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, said this in an interview with our correspondent while reacting to the debate over the implications of the judgment in the case of Hyacinth Wosa Amadi versus Martin Ameule and 26 other lawmakers in Rivers State House of Assembly.
There is no enrolled order that comes out without a judge reading it again and confirming that is what he held and signed to it. That's why his signature and his seal is on it. Except the judge comes out to say it was a forged document that he didn't sign that order. Okay. And like I said, even if the court said so, there is no way any declaration or order made in one of jurisdiction will stand. There is no way. It's elementary law.
Recall that the Rivers State Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General Dagogo Iboroma on Tuesday displayed the certified true copy of the State High Court ruling during a media briefing. He said the release of the certified true copy of the court ruling has vindicated his earlier position that the court never ruled that Martin Ameole and 26 others and members of the PDP, as widely reported. Away from that, a social worker and child protection specialist Glory Kanu Chinwike has advised parents and guardians to actively engage their teenage girls to protect them from unfortunate circumstances. In an interview, Mrs. Kanu Chinwike said young school leavers should not remain idle after their WAEC exams to avoid issues such as teenage pregnancy, sexual impurity, and exploitation, among others. Our comment follows the rescue of some teenage Nigerian girls trafficked to Ghana for prostitution. Mrs. Kanu Chinwike spoke to gender correspondent Constance Mega.
There are a lot of skills to acquire, a lot of knowledge that will profit them. Parents, roll your child in a digital skill, domestic skill, in a skill that will make a meaning, profit them. In fact, a lot of persons these days, even acquiring the normal university education, acquire some skills that they can make money from. They could learn tailoring, catering. They could even delve into the tech world, coding. I do not encourage anyone to be idle after their WAEC.
Mr. Kanu Chinwike also charged young school leavers to volunteer or work as interns at local companies to gain skills in preparation for tertiary education.
Either volunteer or work as secretaries, receptionists, even in the firms of their uncles. They could also become interns to learn something. And if they have to actually be employed, then they have to be up to 18 years or under the proper guidance of an adult. They could do something profitable with their time while they wait for the admissions into the universities. Get responsible rather than idling away, visiting friends, and possibly getting into danger.
Last Friday, Nigerians in the Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, rescued 10 teenage Nigerian girls trafficked to Ghana for prostitution. The girls, aged between 15 and 18, were lured with a promise of jobs as sales girls. The suspected trafficker has been arrested. In other news, some residents of Oigbo in Oigbo local government area are worried about the growing refuse dumps along the Old Aba Road. President of the Oigbo Urban Youth Association, Victor Wachuku, told correspondent Onyeka that waste contractors are neglecting their duties, leading to refuse blocking the road, making it difficult for both cars and people to pass through. Mr. Wachuku said efforts to get the attention of the River State Waste Management Agency, RWAMA, have been unsuccessful.
I don't know whether the people call service provider. Present is not in Oyibo. Sometime around this place, I saw them dumping on your number one where they are supposed to lift refuse to another place, but they were dumping it. And sometimes I confronted them. They were shouting, "Why would I come and disturb them?" I don't know who is in charge of Oyibo own. They are not doing anything. I'm calling on the governor and relevant authorities to checkmate those who are doing refuse job in Oyibo. They are not doing it. I noticed they are the only at the end of the month they collect their money, and it's really telling on our people.
And now we bring you news from around the world.
Looking at the foreign scene, Israel and Hamas have been accused of committing many war crimes and human rights abuses since the 7th of October attack. In a new independent report to the UN Human Rights Council, investigators accuse both sides of war crimes for attacking and killing civilians. The report covers the period up to the end of 2023. Israel rejected the report's findings and accused the Commission of pursuing a narrow-led political agenda against it. On the news this evening, you heard criticisms have trailed President Tinubu's Democracy Day speech. Governor Fubara has assured Rivers people of defending their interests. Anambra Governor Soludo has backed the single-term tenure for politicians. On the foreign scene, Israel and Hamas have been accused of war crimes in a new UN report. The news was edited by Martha Okerinkamp. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808 721 7215. I am Kalada Kurubatabo. Good evening and do stay tuned.